roadmap for what to do weekly, monthly, and quarterly on Pinterest. Well, are you looking to use Tailwind to make your life a little bit easier? If so, you're in the right place. I am Jeff C., and I'm here with Elisa Meredith, my co-host, and we are going to be talking about all that stuff today. We're very excited as well to have our guest with us, Jennifer Laura. She is a Pinterest conversion strategist. She's owner at Laura Creative Co., and we're going to be talking all things Pinterest strategy today, so it's going to be very, very cool. Elisa, so glad that you got your hair emergency under control and we're ready to go. I couldn't let that go, but anyway, so we almost didn't start the show because it was an emergency. But
it was an emergency.
But we want to let you guys know as we're
seen you in forever.
I know
Jeff has been over at Social Media Marketing World, Podfest. He's just this famous, fancy guy now.
No, it was just they left the door open and I walked in. So one of the things that, but by the way, I want to do a shout out for Neil Schaefer. I saw him both at Social Media Marketing World and Pinterest at Podfest, and he is a fan of this show. He actually listens every week, and he said he loves our banter back and forth. So this banter is for you, Neil Schaefer. Thank you for listening. He's got he gave me his new book that's coming out, so I'm excited to read that. But he says it's very funny to listen to, and he listens to it at 1.5 times speed. So of course, I sound like me now. So I'm sure it'd be
anything's
really
funny at 1.5 speed. Yeah,
right, exactly.
Even us.
But,
Minnie Mouse.
Yes. So for you guys joining us today, as always, we're doing the Tailwind Tip hashtag. So as we're going along today, and I know Laura's going to be dropping in some great, nuggets of wisdom. So do hashtag Tailwind Tip, and whatever that nugget is that you think is super insightful, and you could be entered in the running for one of these awesome Tailwind selfie lights that everybody wants and covets. We will send that out to you. So make sure you do hashtag Tailwind Tip as we're going along. Elisa, I'll let you, while I'm pulling up comments here, kind of do some more intro of what we're going to be talking about today.
Oh, well, first thing I want to do is to announce last time's winner is Lisa Maas, M-A-A-S Miller. So if that is you, please send me an email, elisa@tailwindapp.com, so that we can send you your selfie light.
Yes. Make sure you put, do a direct message so you can give us your address and everything there. Yeah. So,
or just email me, whatever's easiest. We just want to make sure we get it to you. You guys are the best part of this show. So thank you for being here. I saw a comment in the event saying, is this one going to be quick? Please? And I said, you know what? We always say it's going to be quick and it never is. But that's because we're having so much fun with you guys. So
that's right.
So sorry.
We do have, this is also simulcast over on Facebook, and I want to bring up a comment from Mama Jo. She goes, love these lives. Love you, beautiful people. Thank you. We love you too, Mama Jo. Thank you for watching over there on YouTube. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, so we've had some questions related to the fresh pins change. And Jeff, I want to quiz you.
Oh, gosh. Here we go again. You made me look stupid last time, so...
It's just because you weren't paying attention.
Well, I'm pressing the
buttons. I know. Okay, Jeff, how would you define fresh pins on Pinterest?
A brand new image. I looked it up I was cutting it, so I knew that was the trick question. So
you knew I was going to do that,
huh? Yeah, I did. So I knew it was coming. So I studied.
Yes. Excellent. Good. Because I'm still seeing some confusion about that, where people are thinking, well, maybe it means like time-wise it's fresh, or something else. But yeah, it's just the first time it goes up. And that does not mean you can never share something again. Doesn't mean that all duplicate content is bad. It's just that fresh is where the most benefit is going to come from. So with that in mind, then, how do we use Tailwind and what should our strategy look like? Because it does change some things. It probably has for all of you already. So let's just jump into it. Let's start with what we do weekly. And Jennifer and Jeff, if you want to jump in and share how you do it, because like nothing that we're talking about is like the magical strategy.
I thought you knew the magic behind Pinterest. So that's what
all the answers, right, Elisa?
I like the more I look at things, the more I realize that we can only know so much, and then there is this mystery factor that's like, why in the world is that pin doing what it's doing? Like, why is this little short pin that we didn't even intend people to pin? Why is that click-through rate so high? Or why is that giant pin, which, how did it get on there? It's way too tall. Why is that getting so many impressions? Like, there are mysteries in life, and in Pinterest. But there are some things we know. And I feel like the more we can kind of take advantage of those, the better off we're going to be. And then maybe we'll just get lucky with, with some of those magical moments. But again, like this is kind of what I do. And I want Jeff and Jennifer to jump in and tell me why you do it differently, or tell me why I'm completely wrong. I know you will, but I want Jennifer to know she has permission as well. Please, want you to do that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so like the cornerstone of your Pinterest marketing is going to be promoting your own content, right? Because what we care about is not Pinterest views. We care about traffic from Pinterest to our sites. Okay, so obviously we care about money, people buying from us, but that's a little downstream. So we're just going to talk about traffic and how we get that. So we're going to assume that you are blogging at least once a week. And we're going to assume that you have created 3 images per blog post. Okay, so you're going to share your first image to the most relevant board first. Easy. That's like always, right? And then you're going to schedule that same image to go to a few additional relevant boards using Tailwind interval pinning. So interval pinning is where you say, all right, I want the first pin to go out this date, but then I want to have 3 days or 5 days or 7 days before it goes out to an additional board. Now, you absolutely could share that image to a couple of relevant boards closer than that, but you probably don't want to. So you're going to get much better bang for your buck if you spread that out. And then additionally, when you have a second and a third image, I choose to separate those out as well. So I could send out image 1, 2, and 3 to the same board on the same day, even like an hour apart, and it would not be considered spammy because they're fresh images. However, I have to think about how people are going to see that. Like if they're looking in the follower feed and they see all 3 images that go to the same article, what's the chances they're going to click on one today, one tomorrow? So no, they're going to click on one. But if I save the next one a week later or something, they probably have forgotten they saw the first one and they might like the second one better. Right. So chances are they're going to see it and they're going to click on it more than if you share it close together.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the way to go. I mean, setting out by email is definitely the way to go, because you're right. If someone sees all 3 or 6 or 10 or however many images you're creating for one URL or one blog post, they're not going to click them all. So your engagement rate could suffer there if you're dumping them all in at one time. You also want to make sure that you're not fatiguing your followers.
Completely agree. I tend to separate them out by a week. I feel like that gives a good spread, but again, just my preference. Some people prefer to do it closer together because what they're really looking at is A/B testing on the images. So they want to get like fewer variables in that test by sharing them closer together. It's just like what's important to you.
So I would bring up this question because I think it's great from Samantha. She says, yes, I'm doing that, but I have noticed a drop in my views though. Have you guys noticed that as well? Because I know that's a concern with a lot of people is, they're hearing this fresh pin strategy and this fresh thing, but they're worried that, this is such a new thing. I'm losing views. I know this is scary for a lot of people.
Yeah, so we've seen it on both sides of the aisle, right, where people are saying I'm creating new content and I'm getting a ton of more views, or I'm sharing less overall content and some more newer content, and I'm getting fewer clicks to my site. So we really want to hear about that, right? And Pinterest has said over and over again, like, look, this has started to take effect, but over the course of the next several months, you're going to start to really see it ramping up. So the habits that you're building now are going to serve you well long term. But we do want to know what your experience is. So kind of with that in mind, I put together a survey just for you guys. And it's at bit.ly/template-designs, and it's all lowercase. Should have made it one word, sorry. But again, it's a
Someday
bit.ly link
you'll learn,
template
Lisa.
dash. I know, maybe template dash designs. And in there, I'm asking for a couple of things if you don't mind. So I want to see if you've made images with our templates. I'd love to see like the originals and what you made for new ones. But I also want to hear about things like what are you experiencing? Like, are you trying this fresh pins approach, and what results are you getting? What challenges are you facing? What's most frustrating to you in the process? Because we want to come up with ways to help with that, and we also want to hear like what you're actually seeing, because we can only tell so much. So please, if you will share that. Yeah.
So I want to repeat that for our podcast listeners, and Neil Schaefer, this is for you. bit.ly/template-designs. That's bit.ly/template-designs. So make sure go there and help Elisa out, because this will help you guys in the long run. So fill out that survey if you would.
Yes, please.
So Laura, what do you do?
What you were...
Go ahead, Laura.
So just to play off what you were saying, it really does depend on the account. Every account is slightly different. Every profile reacts slightly different to change. And sometimes certain profiles take longer than others to either rebound or take off. You really never know until you're testing for, 30 or 60 days at least. Sometimes it can take that long until you see the results of what you've changed, especially if it's a drastic change. It can take a little longer.
Yeah. So I do want to bring up some more comments from our viewers. And Mama Joe over on YouTube says this. She goes, my views have been going up. Travel niche in general is going down, so considered niche as well. So that's interesting. Another question here is from Jody Williams, and I think this is specific because I know a lot of teachers use this. She goes, I'm a teacher. My content doesn't change. How will this work for teachers? And I think she's talking about creating this fresh pin content that we've been talking about, because I know my wife's a teacher and you guys don't have a lot of time, to be creating pins. So maybe you guys can, both Elisa and Laura, you guys, we'll start with Laura and kind of let Jennifer. Give us some ideas of some ways to create this, without, having to spend hours and hours in front of in Photoshop or Canva or easel, creating some of these fresh pins, maybe some of your techniques.
Yeah, so let me just set Jennifer up with this answer, because that's why she's here today. So in our last Facebook Live, she said something like in a comment, I can make 10 images in 10 to 15 minutes. And I was like, oh, hello, we need to talk. So we did talk, and she walked me through her process, and I was like, oh, this is really really smart.
Yeah, so no pressure. No pressure at all.
Yeah, no pressure. But can you tell us what you showed me?
Yeah. So, the big thing here is I'm a big fan of, automate where you can. And if you can't automate, systematize. So have a system to be efficient and get everything done that you need to get done. Because, I used to be one of those people that would spend 30 image or 20 minutes on an image. And while that still happens, through experience, I've just gotten a whole lot faster and a whole lot more efficient because of my systems. So it's really simple. If I'm in the zone and I'm plugging along and I'm focused and I'm in that mode of flow, definitely I can hit that 15 minutes and get about 10 images done on a good day. If not, it might take a little longer, but really having a couple of templates that you can go to, and not that they're black and white, this is exactly how all my images have to look, but a couple of template varieties of, hey, I've got this whole group of images that has an overlay on the top and my logo on the bottom and the photo in the center. And then, hey, I've got this other set of images that is photo-centric and a little bit more zoomed in and has this style way. A couple different template groups that you can use, where when you have a blog post or you have a URL you're trying to crank out images for, you can just go right in, whether it's Canva or Photoshop, open up that template and drop a couple things in, edit the headline, and bam, there's an image. So the more you do it, the faster you can get, but having somewhere to jump off from, a starting point for your images, even if that's a couple different templates, is a total game changer.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I am a big fan of templates because I am not, I spoke on it actually last week because I am not a designer. And so having those templates where you can, make them look like they're your own, don't just like type the text in for Canva or whatever, go and actually switch some things up, make it your own. Because, it's easy to, you can look in the feed and go, oh, there's a Canva pen. Oh, there's another one. Oh, there's another one. Yeah. And so you don't want that to happen with your pins. You want it to stand out in the feed. But this is a perfect segue because we do have, Elisa has put together these great templates that, Laura mentioned, Jennifer mentioned that you have two names. I'm going to do that all the time.
I know.
I have the same thing. You can do it.
Yeah. So Jennifer, what she was saying is, but Elisa has made these great templates to start with that are, you have Photoshop ones in there as well as Canva templates, correct?
Not yet. So the next set should have Photoshop as well. But for now, they're just in Canva. Okay.
But they're a great place to start, and they change every month. So make sure you guys go to bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. That's bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit, and download those because they're amazing. She's worked really hard on them, and they look really, really awesome. So make sure you go check those out.
They really do look great, Elisa. They really do look great, and they're a great jumping off point. So everyone go download those and get your brand colors in there or your website colors if you have them, and your particular fonts and your logo, and put your spin on it, and then jump off from there. So
well, Laura,
there are a couple in there now that are teacher specific. And there's another one coming out for the next set in March as well, because I know we had some requests for that, and we had a teacher who was just asking, like, what do I do because my content doesn't really change. It's okay if your content isn't changing as long as you can present it in a different way visually. So if you can use some of these templates and modify them for yourself, you can breathe some new life into your content.
Jennifer,
even do.
Go ahead.
Sorry, lag. You can even do different headlines and test different headlines for the same content. And really, Canva is such a great resource as well, because you don't have to use just one image on three different, one photo on three different pins. You can find photos you can use in Canva. They have a great photo feature where you can use those images and use those photos on your Pinterest images and really play up with mixing in fresh photos with fresh stylings and overlays, or fresh different ways of presenting the headline. So mix it up. You don't have to change everything on every pin, but mix up a couple things and it will be considered fresh.
Yeah, that really struck me as the biggest time saver in your workflow is that you're not afraid to use other images. So sometimes people have a real specific, like if you're taking your own images, I get it, you're attached to that image. But if you can be a little flexible and try something new, bring in a new image, because it does make an entirely new pin, and not just like technically a new pin, but it looks totally different even if the layout is the same. That was a really that was a smart thing. I like that. Thank you.
Yeah, just letting go, like you said, of that image perfection. And it might not be exactly the perfect image that you would like, but if it's a good quality you can find, and you can take another angle at the topic with a different photo, that's great. I mean, just use a fresh photo. It doesn't have to be exactly perfect. And I think letting go of perfection in this process, when fresh content is so important, but letting go of that perfection of the image has to be exactly perfect, makes a big difference as far as time is concerned.
So Jennifer, can you give, so you mentioned, as templates as a jumping off point. So I want to be talking to the people who are really maybe just, they've been the ones who have like just went into Canva and typed retyped the headline or whatever. Can you give some like really practical examples? You mentioned changing the images out, and they don't have to be perfect, but some other practical ways that people can take templates that they get on Canva or Easel and swap them out so they can make them their own.
Sure. A lot of the images, a lot of the pin templates that you guys have put out, Elisa, that you designed, have overlays, color overlays. So you can change the color there. You can make them slightly larger, slightly smaller. You can change the placement. That's another great way to give an image a fresh feel, is change the placement of where the headline is. So if in the original template it's near the top, well, move it to the bottom or to the middle. You can make sure that you're changing your fonts to the fonts that are in your particular website or your particular blog sort of wheelhouse, make them your own for sure, because that's the last thing, to your point, Jeff and Elise, that you want to do is have that pin image that looks exactly like everybody else's. So moving the overlay, changing the overlay color, you can play with the overlay opacity, so you can make it semi-transparent, you can make it solid, and you can also change the overlay shape. So instead of doing a rectangle, do a diamond, or change it to a circle or an oval. Get creative, because that's one thing that's really great about Pinterest is it's not so serious. So have some fun with it. Try new things and make it larger, make it smaller, see what works best for your particular website, for your traffic.
Those are great points.
Yeah. I wanted to share a concern that we got from a member this week, and an answer for it as well. So someone wrote in and said, if I have all of these images to the same content, isn't that going to increase my overall bounce rate? And won't that hurt me in the search engine? So isn't this a bad idea? Well, I mean, there are a lot of pins on Pinterest and there are a lot of searches going on. So the chance of someone seeing and clicking on all 10 versions of your pin are low to begin with. But you also should be making them with different people in mind. So, for instance, your blog post about a Sunday brunch idea, you could also kind of redo that image as a Mother's Day brunch or brunch with friends. Talk to specific people, and that will cut down on that duplicate. The other thing is, when you're looking at the text on image and how you're writing your titles and descriptions, rather than always keeping them the same, you could address different points in your article. So normally in a blog post, or even in a product, you're going to have several different main points that you could call out one main point in one pin and call out the next one in the next pin. And again, those different points are going to appeal to a different audience. So you're not going to end up with those people accidentally clicking again and being like, oh, I already read this, bounce, So, and I feel like even if I clicked on the same article twice, if I really liked it, I don't remember what I read half the time. So I'm probably going to read it. Maybe that's just me, but I'm going to read it again.
About your short-term memory
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
But there are some things you can do to help with that memory problem.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, so I think I do want to. So I want to bring up some. We do have one. So far, don't forget, you guys, to do the Tailwind tips, because you can be entered into be drawing for these awesome selfie lights, and we have one over from YouTube. Actually, I love her name. Pretty darn adorable crochet tutorials, and she goes, Tailwind tip, let go of perfection. So Jennifer said that early, and yes, it is easy to tweak so much that you never release anything. So I think we all struggle with that if we have any sort of creativity bone in our body. So yeah, let go of that perfection and get those images out.
Yeah. Yep. All right, are we ready for our next weekly task?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so tribes. So people still want to share out great content. Look at pins that you know that your audience is going to enjoy and engage with, and or something that you want to save and read for yourself later. So want to do that. And then to kind of build on our creating more fresh content, pick an older, still relevant blog post and create a couple new pins for that one and share those out the same way we did before, right? So always to the most relevant board first, space them out using interval pinning. And then you're going to start building up this constant supply of fresh content that Pinterest is going to really like.
Mm-hmm. And for the older pieces, to your point, Elisa, if you can take a piece from, we're getting into the summer months right here. Take a piece from summer or even back to school, which is coming up, your best performing piece, if you have some content around that on your blog, and sit down and create 3 or 5 new fresh images and drip those out with interval settings. And you'll be surprised the kind of new life that a lot of times reads into that post, as far as comments, social shares, and of course, traffic from Pinterest makes a big difference.
Yeah, I find that the Pinterest possibilities planner, and I always have to Google it. I can never just find it on my own. But that has that chart where it has the dots that will show you which months during which months these trends are really starting to heat up. So as you see like, oh, that my content fits in well here, start sharing that, creating new images for that. And that's one of those things that's built into the templates are those seasonal trends on Pinterest. So it's like, here's an image about this, and here's why, there are these little learning tips on the toolkit images to explain like why we chose these elements, and the possibilities planner comes into it big time because there is a huge influence there with seasonality.
So let's talk about that for a while, because I think that's a great way to, let's say you are struggling with creating fresh content and using what you just mentioned, the seasonality and some of the trends that we see that you can go see on Pinterest. What's some of like the lowest hanging fruit, Jennifer, that you can think about when you're creating, going in and you're like, okay, I know I need to make some new pins this week. And how could you use these tools that Elisa just mentioned to kind of springboard off of that to easily create some new ones?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's crucial. If you look in the planner and you know what's coming up, I mean, if you can even carve out a couple of minutes, like I said, and breathe some new life into what's coming up, that's the biggest piece. And if we're going into summer, if we're on that cusp right now of it really exploding, reflect that in your images. Use some bright summer seasonal colors. Use some bright summer seasonal textures, maybe in your overlays. Have some fun with it. And Pinterest is a little whimsical, so there's nothing wrong with using a funny summer font, as like an emphasis somewhere, not in the main keyword, because Pinterest can't read that very well. But get some fun seasonality into your pins for sure. When we're going into peak back to school season or peak Halloween season, that lends a lot of creativity to where you can go with your images as far as those fun sort of novelty elements. Especially in Canva right now, it's so easy to find those seasonal elements. But what a seasonal spin, just because your content isn't necessarily written seasonally in mind, doesn't mean you can't put a seasonal pin out for that content. Now, for example, if you have a post on what to do with a child, what to do with your kids over a school break, well, with everything going on and all the schools being shut down, you can pop out a couple new pins. What to do if you're on lockdown with your kids entertained, right?
That's a great tip.
So repurpose that and get the seasonality in your images.
Right.
Yeah, that is a really good point, because like you said, it's not always an easy, obvious fit, but you can use those elements. Like if right now that tie-dye is trending, and it is, but you don't sell tie-dye t-shirts, fine. Just like find a tie-dye pattern and use that for your background, or work it in some other way that, like people are looking for that right now, even if it's not the same topic.
It's fun and it's eye-catching. Absolutely. Work it in. It doesn't have to be a huge pop. You don't have to go, fully away from sort of your brand aesthetic, but have a little bit of fun at least, It's not life and death. Pinterest is fun.
Yeah.
So I want to bring up a question from my friend, Eileen Smith, who's watching. Thanks, Eileen, for watching. Always
she's my friend.
What'd you say?
Hi, Eileen. I said, no, she's my friend.
I said it first. So she goes, this is a great question. Will it hurt my account if I delete an old pin I pinned from someone else's blog that keeps being repinned? This pin is about 5 years old and the info is outdated, but it gets repinned every day. It's a great question.
Not going to hurt your account.
Now, why is that? How do you know, Pinterest wise one? How do you know that?
Well, okay, why would it?
I don't know. That's why I ask you.
That's true. Right. It's not your content. Yeah.
It's not your content. So what it will do is probably end up sending a lot less traffic to that person's blog post. But if that content is outdated, that's probably just fine. And it probably shouldn't be getting that. So yeah, I mean, I think that the assumption we're going off thinking it might hurt your account is, oh, I have this high engagement pin. If I get rid of that, does that bring down the overall engagement of all of my content? And is that going to hurt me? I really, really think mostly about your own content. Like supplementing with some curation is fine, but it's really, Eileen, it's all about you. That's your mantra for the day.
Yeah, no, I would agree. I mean, if it's not your content, it's not going to have a huge impact on your blog's engagement or your brand's engagement. If it's terribly out of date, you want to be a trusted source of information for your followers, right? So I think it's good practice. If it's way out of date or it's a broken link or what have you, just keep it clean. Be that trusted source.
Yeah. We don't generally recommend going back and deleting posts because it's really, your time is much better spent on looking to the future. However, if this is something that you keep seeing in your top pins report and it's just so much traffic going to it and it's just bugging you, which obviously it is bugging Eileen, there's no harm in getting rid of it.
Right. Whatever makes you feel good. It's all about
you.
So it's all about Lisa. So
it's all about Eileen.
Yes. So don't forget, if we're talking about these templates today, we're talking how to make fresh pins. Don't forget to go to our awesome templates that Elisa has put together. You can find that at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. And that's all lowercase, all smashed together. bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. So are you ready to take some questions, Lisa, or do you want to keep going on your agenda that you want to talk about? Because we have some good questions.
I'll take those questions. Yeah, we've got a lot more we can cover, but if people, let's do the questions.
So, but I do want to. This is she is pretty darn adorable content. Crochet is really pumping out some great Tailwind tips today. She's saying new pins to old pieces have been working great for me, so that's great to know. Thank you. From pretty darn adorable crochet tutorials over on YouTube.
Nice. I hope you'll fill out that survey too, because we would love to hear from you and see some of your new.
Yes, and you can find that survey right here at bit.ly/template-designs. Unfortunately, that one has a dash in the middle of it, but we won't talk too much about that. I know. But Carrie Ray asked this question. She says, thoughts of using Pinterest to promote an online event other than ads is date specific. I know what I would say because I have struggled with. I've tried to promote some events on Pinterest and they just didn't work very well for me because Pinterest is so evergreen. It was hard to. You'd really have to start way ahead of the event, is what I would say. Let me know if I'm wrong. What are you guys' thoughts?
Yeah, I would agree fully. If you're way out and you are far out from the event, there's no harm in making sure that you're doing really good keyword research on Pinterest, really good hashtag research, and really maybe using the appropriate tribes to get that content as fast as possible. But I haven't found for time-based events, unless there's a replay, unless there is like an event package that's available towards the end that is a little bit more evergreen. Sometimes that happens with these live events and live summits. But that's a tough one. I agree. Yeah. Lisa?
I think you have to think about how effective is that landing page with gathering email addresses, because that's where the power is going to be, right? And getting people from Pinterest to your site onto your email list. So as it gets closer, you can remind them and try to sell them from your email list. But the other thing is going to be like, what's your exit strategy? So after the event, if it's not evergreen, like what are you going to do knowing that those pins have now spread across Pinterest beyond what you've just shared? And that's, again, one of the reasons why you want to go way ahead of time to give it a chance for people to repin and share it all over. What are you going to do with that page when the event is over so that the pins aren't wasted?
That's a great point. Yeah. So, Carrie, unfortunately, I think, it's tough to do. So I might want to invest maybe in some other, I would think like LinkedIn, maybe, just to say that would probably be the best place to really push your event, and maybe not use Pinterest so much for like a time specific thing, unless it's evergreen and you're selling all the time. So.
Except where she did mention ads, like ads could work, right? Because you're paying for that extra distribution.
Right. So Kelly has this question. She has asked, let's see, she goes, question, are the first 5 pins after midnight UTC still giving priority to your followers?
Oh man, that one just won't die.
Okay.
No, it's not a thing.
It won't.
It's not a thing.
All right. That was easy.
Yeah.
So
it was a thing, and then almost instantly was not. So no, don't worry about that.
Okay. So here's a very specific one from Lola. She goes, if I publish a fresh pin to Pinterest secret boards and then later publish that same pin via Tailwind to a public board, when the pin hits the public board, will Pinterest still consider it a fresh pin? I really need to get a diagram or something because that path. So
I know exactly what she's saying.
So you know what she's talking about.
I shook my head.
So that was great for our podcast listeners. So remember.
I know, isn't that helpful?
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to be confident that there is an answer. So some people, their workflow is to share all their pins to a secret board and then schedule out of their secret boards to their public boards over time. And I think that people who have a VA might use that kind of system. So no, the answer is no. Once you share them out, even if it's to a secret board, if after they have been out on a secret board, you share them again, they're not fresh. It's that one time, the first time an image hits Pinterest ever. And people are like, well, why would that be? You know, it's no one's seeing them. Well, we got to think about why Pinterest built Pinterest. They didn't make it for marketers to use it in their workflow for marketing. They built it for I know it's really hard to believe that they weren't thinking about us, but they weren't and they aren't. So it's not something that they likely would have considered when making that ruling. But I did go and ask them, would it be fresh? And they said, no, it's not. So use your drafts in Tailwind.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lisa, that is a gold mine of, again, systemization and getting things sort of in a process that you can replicate. Tailwind Drafts is the way to go. You just drop your image in there and it's there waiting for you to add the description, play with the headline. It is all there, and that is the way to go right now.
So for people who are new to Tailwind, let's explain what that is. So where do you find Tailwind Drafts and how do you use it to, like you just mentioned, kind of a power tip right there. So Lisa, why don't you start and then I'll let you kind of finish, Jennifer.
Okay, so if you go to Tailwind and you go to Publisher, I'm doing it right now, so I don't tell you the wrong thing.
For those listening at home, those clicks are her actually finding the answer.
Those clicks are me. So if you go into Publisher and then Drafts, you can create a new pin. And so you can just leave it there until you're ready to actually fill out the title and description boards. And yeah, it's a good place to store stuff till you're ready to do something with it. Yeah.
Jennifer, any other power tips you have? That was a great one.
No, that's the same thing. You know, if you create, again, fresh content, so if you create 3 to 5 or 10 or however many images you're going to create for a new blog post or an old blog post, whatever, if you create them all at once, batch your creation process. Again, that's going to make you faster, and drop them all into Tailwind Drafts all at the same time. They're there ready for you to schedule out. So whether you're going to schedule them close, whether you're going to schedule them with some extra interval time, you know, a week between, they're all there. You can batch that process as well, batch that scheduling process, and it'll be a lot faster than doing one at a time.
So Jennifer, do you create all your images and Canva and whatever and drop them in there? And then do you, inside of Tailwind Drafts, is that where you go in and change the description up and make sure everything is ready? So you can do all your creation. What I'm asking, I guess, is do you do all your like visual creation first, drop it in there, and then go back and change the descriptions, etc.?
Yeah, absolutely. I do all the left brain, super left brain, creative visual stuff all together. And then get in, I go do some research for keywords on Pinterest, like we talked about last week on the Tailwind Live, and so maybe hashtag research, and then go into Tailwind where I have all my drafts uploaded and get all of the text, SEO, optimized description work out of the way, and then schedule them out.
Very cool. So here's a great question from Kathleen. She asks this: how long of memory does Pinterest have? Will it be considered fresh after 6 months, a year? It's a good question.
Jeff,
forever.
What's a fresh pin?
It's a new image.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter.
So no, it doesn't matter. Freshness is not about the time.
Right.
It's about whether it's been seen on Pinterest ever before. But let's think about this, though.
I know
is
why the
it
question
ever
is.
okay? Okay, go ahead.
No, I was going to say the question, I think, is because then we talk about Smart Loop, because that's, I think, where people get confused. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, exactly. So the question is it ever okay to share a pin again? And is it ever okay to share the same image to the same board again? And the answer is yes. And that's where that 5 to 6 months will come in, where it's like that's a perfectly reasonable time period, and after which it makes sense to reshare, partly because you have new followers and they may see that pin in their follower feed, and partly because of what Jennifer was talking about with seasonal content. So that summer post that you did last year that worked so well, you might want to make sure it goes out every summer, and of course make new images for it, but you can still share that older image and get some traction from it as well.
Very cool. So Sarah asked, I think that's how I pronounce her name. She goes, let me pull this up. I hit the wrong button. Too many buttons. She goes, hey guys, I have been getting spam warnings on my Tailwind, and I pin around 40 to 50 a week. What's the ideal daily pin recommendation? Has that changed?
40 to 50 a week should not be giving you that spam warning. So Jeff, would you mind pulling up that screenshot I sent to you?
Sure. Just a second. Right.
Okay, thanks. So this is one of those weekly tasks where, like, if you're scheduling with your browser extension or anywhere else, really, you're going to want to look for this. This is a Smart Guide all clear indication. So it's going to tell you that your pinning frequency is in line with current best practices, and so we keep looking for those behaviors that could be considered spammy. Now there's a lot that goes into whether an account is suspended for spam that has a lot to do with a lot of factors, but like overall too frequent is a factor. So we're watching for that. The 40 to 50 thing a week should certainly not be happening. So please use the Tailwind dashboard and contact customer success, and they will look into that for you, because that shouldn't be happening.
Now, Lisa, if she meant 40 to 50 per day and just mistyped, that would be giving her a warning, right?
It would be giving her a warning that she was kind of edging into a danger zone, possibly.
Yeah.
But 40 to 50 is still okay. It's just the warning would be then, like, don't add to it. Like, because that's only looking at what you're sending from Tailwind. So if you're also pinning manually, then you could be starting to get into that range of too many pins.
Right.
I mean, that said, there are good reasons to pin more than that. Some people just have a tremendous amount of content, and I'm very jealous. So for them, it may make sense to pin more than that. And there is a way to disable Smart Guide if that is you. But for the vast majority of people, you don't want to do that.
Don't mess with it. Yeah.
No, you don't. And there's probably no need for 99.9% of users.
Yeah, and so that's one of the things is Tailwind wants you to succeed. And so that guide is there to help you succeed. It's not there to limit you or to take away control or anything like that. It's there to help you so you don't run into trouble. And so that's what it's there for. And so I would, I'm going to go back and edit the podcast and take out what Elisa just said, because you shouldn't turn it off. No.
You shouldn't. But there are some times. When it makes sense,
right?
Few times,
but it's there to help you. It's like what I like to think of is like it's like guide rails when you're going up a mountain. So if you happen to drift off the road, you don't careen into the canyon down below and get your account banned. You have these guide rails to help. So I think they're there for a reason. It's not that they're trying to take away control or anything. So
that's true. Thank you for that, Jeff. Okay, so that's what we do in a week. That's not a lot. We can do that. Right. So create new pins for new content, new pins for old content. Check out your Smart Guide indication. And what was there a last one? Oh, tribes. Yeah. Keep your tribes active. Yeah. Okay. So that's weekly. Are we ready for monthly?
Right. Let's go monthly.
Let's go.
Okay. So check out your Pinterest planner. So I'm going to drop the link in the Facebook Live. So that is a Pinterest offering that takes the Pinterest Possibilities Planner, say that 10 times fast, and it works it into a plan, like how to, you should be pinning right now. So again, looking at your older content, making new images for those because they're popular now or will be in a few weeks. Here is the blog content you should be planning to create because it's going to be coming up. So it's a real walkthrough, whereas the Possibilities Planner and all the trends are super helpful, but you still have to think oh, what do I do with all these dots? And what should I do right now? So that will help you figure out what exactly to do this month. So next thing, Smart Loop. So you want to go into,
just for people who are just listening, who maybe have tuned in for the first time, explain what Smart Loop is for everybody, please.
Okay, good idea. So Smart Loop is a Tailwind product which will allow you to reshare your pins at prescribed intervals. So Smart Loop also has Smart Guide built into it so that you won't accidentally be resharing too often. So what you can do is you could have you could have a springtime loop. So, and there's the cat. And you could put all of your spring content into that and tell it, okay, between February 15th and April 30th, I want to share these certain pins out and I want to share them to these boards. And Smart Loop will do that for you every year until you tell it not to. My favorite part about Smart Loop is the analytics in there. Something about the way that they're designed is just really easy for me to figure out. And I don't think I'm the only one. So it will give you for each loop you can. Okay, cool. So tell me what you do in there. It might be different from what I do.
Sure. Yeah, the biggest thing that I take a look at, like you said, I think it's the same data you get everywhere else, but it is presented slightly different. So it really helps me to go into Smart Loop and figure out what's performing as far as what's getting repins, because I think the way that data is presented is quick and easy to access. So that's part of the way I evaluate if my Smart Loop is working and what the pins in each Smart Loop are, if they're worth keeping in or not. Are they getting repins? Are they getting that kind of traction as well?
Yeah, great. That's what I do too. And I think it's kind of like each one, like it almost looks like a pin feed, like your Pinterest feed. And then here's the images, but here's the information, really easy to digest. What I tend to do is I look at each loop separately and I look at what is the overall repin rate. And then I will just go through and ruthlessly weed out anything that's below that average. And pins that might have been doing great, might not be doing great now, they're out. And what you can do then is to make a new image and replace that in your Smart Loop.
Very cool.
Yeah, I think that's a great tip. The repin rate is definitely a nice, easy, digestible number just to at a glance to really weed out the non-performers.
So here's a question about Smart Loop. It's from Marjorie. Says, is a pin from Smart Loop seen by Pinterest differently than using the scheduler if it's the first pin ever, a new post? Okay.
No. In fact, some people do put a lot of fresh pins into Smart Loop. I mean, I think the original use case kind of was to reshare pins that have done well, which you can still certainly can do that, and that's perfectly fine as far as Pinterest is concerned. But putting those new pins in there, it's an even better idea. And Pinterest doesn't care if you manually upload, if you use a regular Tailwind scheduler, if you use Smart Loop, they don't see it differently.
Gotcha.
So if you're feeling Christmassy one July day, if you're feeling Christmassy right now and you want to go in and create some Christmas pins for, I don't know, your top performing regular Christmas posts, dropping them into the Smart Loop, even as fresh pins, lets you just set it and forget it too. That's a nice little hack there.
That's cool. A gift to your future self.
It's Christmas every day here in the man cave. So.
Oh dear.
So no, I'm seriously, because I like to pin. I do carving, and I like Christmas stuff. So that's a great idea. Didn't think of that. So here's a Tailwind tip from Maria. Says this. She goes, Tailwind tip: if you have a pin in Smart Loop that isn't working as well anymore, make a new image for it and put it back in Smart Loop. So thank you for Maria. Sorry, I said your name wrong. So yeah, very cool.
Okay. All right. You ready for another one? Or you have another question?
Okay. We got questions going nuts, but it's all about you, Lisa.
I'll just feel so bad I'll just feel bad if I promise this list and then I don't do it.
Okay. We will break this down and put it either in a blog post or down in the comments before, because there's some people.
Yeah, it's in a blog post. It's the most recent Pinterest blog post on the Tailwind blog.
We'll drop the link in.
I'm trying to get to an infographic. I just haven't done it yet. Yeah. But if you're in the US, check out Pinterest Trends. So, which keywords and phrases related to your topic are trending right now? And what can you prepare for next month? So, can you create a new image for existing content and bring in those trending keywords and trending searches? So, I love this little tool. It just really kind of sparks ideas as far as like expanding your keyword horizons. It gives you suggested ones, and then it takes you right to a search for those, so you can figure out like which ones can I really take advantage of now, which ones can I see like aren't real popular now, but maybe I can start planning for a couple of months from now. It's just, I love that tool. How about you guys?
Yeah, I think it's great.
I agree. And sometimes it's going down the wormhole, and sometimes I'll have to set a timer for myself because I will literally spend hours digging in there, but it is awesome. Great information.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just trends.pinterest.com.
Yeah, okay. So I also want to, so for people who may be just joining us, don't forget about we're talking about templates a lot on this show, and don't forget about our templates that you can get that Elisa has put together for you at bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit, all lowercase, all smashed together, bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit. And with that, we do have a question about that, Elisa, that I think would be great to answer from Vaughn. He goes, how do you upload the Tailwind Pinterest templates into the Canva templates area?
So when you go to that offer and you click on, say, February templates, it is allowing you to add those pins as images in your Canva templates, in your Canva account, rather. So how you turn them into templates, maybe Jennifer can speak to that, because I haven't done that in a while. I just copy them in and then I duplicate the file and change things out. But do you know how to make that into technically a template in Canva?
Well, technically a template, and just jumping in and using and duplicating the page. So if I have an image that I think is going to be sort of a direction I want to go for a large group of pins, honestly, I'll just I'll go into that image, I'll duplicate the page and just edit the duplicate. So I'm not all technically into making an official template, but I think there used to be a way to do it in Canva. Yeah. I'm not sure what it is today.
You know how to do it, Jeff?
Well, I can't remember if it has to be a pro account or not. So I'm not, because I have the pro account, and because that gives you have to have, so the design guide where you can put up your fonts and all that stuff, I think that may be included with the pro version.
But I don't
know. Yeah, for sure. But
that makes sense.
Okay. Another great question here from Carrie. I know you want to get back into your little flowchart, your little thing, but this is a great question, I think. So it's from Carrie. She goes, do pins with faces in the photo work better than not? I think you covered this in another live, but I don't recall. Thank you. Because we are talking about images and pulling them from stock photos and stuff. So I think this is a great question.
Yeah. So back in the very early days of Pinterest, the conventional wisdom was don't use faces because people want to picture the product in their life. But trends change, behaviors change, and preferences change, and that seems to have changed. So using a face of a person or even a pet can make things feel a little more personal, and those can then perform better. But of course, your audience is not the whole audience of Pinterest, so I would suggest trying it out and doing a little testing.
What do you think, Jennifer?
Yeah, no, I would definitely test it. Some of the clients I work with do have their own photography, or they want, the people involved in the company in the photography on the pins. And so I've tested both with faces and without faces. And to Elisa's point, that used to be a really big thing, no faces, don't put faces in your pins. But it really has changed in recent years. And to be quite honest, according to my very, small testing size, I haven't seen much of a difference anymore. So just like Lisa said, I would test it, and see what works for your account.
Yeah, I think the one exception
that runs through there. Test.
Always.
Yes.
I know that seems like a little bit of a cop-out, but it's really not, because there can't be one answer. But I think there is one exception. So if you are trying to use an Instagram type photo and it's all about a person or a celebrity, generally that doesn't work, because people aren't there to think about other people. They're there to think about their own lives. So it's better if it's not about a specific human. if it's just showing a person using your product or service, it's probably going to work better. It's like nobody wants to see my face on a pin. It's just
they do too. Yes, they do.
Have you tested it, Elisa?
You haven't. She hasn't tested.
Oh, you're right. I have not.
Yeah. See, caught. Yeah,
you're right.
You were caught.
Busted.
There you go.
Okay.
So this is good from Bobette. She goes, she is so glad to hear someone else prior pins instead of keeping an official template. She always forgets and save changes to my templates. So yes, I'm the same way. So
yeah,
I think most of us just copy and paste it and do it. So yeah.
Yeah, I have a confession to make too about those templates. When I first shared out the first collection of them, I accidentally chose the link in Canva where you can share a link to let people edit. My templates got destroyed. They got destroyed. I had to remake the whole set. Yeah. So yeah, we all do things like that, I think.
I've never ever done that. But that's good to know.
Haven't. I'm sure
yeah,
you
it's
haven't.
good to know.
All right, then I want to talk a little bit about the top pins report in Tailwind. So you want to look at what content is bringing in the most traffic for you, like right now within this last month. So you're going to go to your top pins report. And again, I'm going to go over here. I know we showed this in a Tailwind tip with Johnny, or maybe it was me, a couple weeks back. But it's under Insights, and you go to top pins, and you can look at the pins, the pinner, the impressions, close-up, saves, click, save rate, and even click rate, which is cool because if you try to do this in Pinterest, you can, but they'll have to calculate the save rate and click rate yourself. So go ahead and use Tailwind to figure out like what is actually working for you right now and do more of that. But kind of beyond that, you can switch it over to a tab that is pinned by me in that top pins report. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be everything that you've shared out. And if you're sharing other people's content, and I feel like this is one of my favorite reasons for sharing other people's content, aside from being nice, you can also get information on what other people are doing that's working, because we can't really see on other people's pins right now, like how many clicks is it getting, how many saves, but where you can.
So like Kelly asked this question, so is there a way to view top pins on other accounts that aren't mine through Tailwind?
Not on other accounts, but on other pins. So if you share their pins, you can then see, oh my goodness, this pin about whatever has an amazing click-through rate. I should look at, like, is it the topic? Is it the pin design? What is it about this? Is it the SEO that they used? What can I kind of emulate to do something similar so I can get those results too?
So
that's a great way to grab inspiration. Yeah, when you're going in to create some fresh images, that's a great way to grab some inspiration for sure. Is looking at that pinned by me tab and seeing what's working.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good point.
So can you explain what the little like blue flames then are? Because I think there's some confusion of that in Tailwind as well.
Yeah, so that comes from your website. So if you have those social share buttons where it kind of calculates how many shares you're getting to certain networks, we bring that over into the dashboard. And I think mostly people see that in tribes probably. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's a combination. It's not like these are all pins. It's like these are Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. These are shares to all the networks that the information comes from your website.
Cool. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is there any more final ones? Because we are getting close to the end of our time together.
Gosh, we are. We might have to do the quarterly one next time, but there's just one more monthly one.
Okay.
And that is to look at your top pins and add them to SmartLoop, or make new pins for that image and add them to SmartLoop as well. And you can either have them go out like in 6 months, or if it's a seasonal one and that's why it's doing well right now, obviously put it in for next season.
Very cool. And yeah, let's do that. We've got plenty of homework from you guys today to do anyway, so we'll save that next time for another show.
Okay, we'll do like how to do your quarterly audit. Yeah,
yes,
we'll do
that's important as well. But we got a ton of stuff. We answered a bunch of questions, but I wanted to give Jennifer time to kind of tell us if people are like, oh my gosh, she's a genius. Where can I find out more about her? Where can they go to find out more about you, Jennifer?
Oh, so sweet. Thanks, Jeff. No, you can find me at jenniferlaura.com. My last name is Lorah, so Irish Laura. Or you can find me on LinkedIn. Just search Jennifer Laura. I'm all over the place on LinkedIn as well, and I'd love to connect there. But yeah, I mean, I work mostly with brains at this point, but I do consults as well. So let me know, Jeff, for questions. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thanks everybody for watching today. And don't forget about the awesome templates that we've talked all about today. You can find that at BIT. Oh, and the survey, but go. She always just has to jump in. So it's bit.ly/TW Pinterest Toolkit is where you can find those templates. But if you want to do the survey, you can go here to bit.ly/template-designs to find out.
Yeah, I really want to see what you're making. I want to see what gorgeous pins you're coming up with. We'll share some of those. And I also have a bunch of questions so I can try to figure out like where are the pain points here in this process of creating fresh images. So how can we fix that? How can we make that easier for you?
Right. And with that, we thank you guys for watching. Make sure you go to both of those links and go check out Jennifer's website and find out more about her. And with that, we thank you so much for all your questions. We will see you next time. Bye now. See you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.